Hello everyone, thanks for having me here and giving me the opportunity of explaining what Nintex is and what we do. And for that I'm going to start with a very exciting topic, digital transformation. Yeah, I know, not a very good start, huh? Even the minion is fed up with that term. It's been used too much. That's why I wanted to start from here, because it seems like everybody's bouncing around this term and nobody seems to get it right. Or, what is even more interesting, if you ask, everybody tells you they are doing it, but only very few organizations are truly transforming their business. So why is that? Why most of those organizations are failing to drive digital transformation? And the reason why I say that is because if we look at the numbers, in average, only 32% of the processes in an organization have been automated. Almost 70% of the processes in the company remain manual. That's a lot. And by the way, I'm not making this up. This is coming from McKinsey, one of the researchers they did about the topic. So again, why is that? Well, mainly because of three reasons. And the graphic you are seeing is going to help us to understand that. If we look at this graphic, that represents how much impact we can have in the business when we automate a process depending on the complexity of that process. Usually the more complex a process is, the more impact it has in the business. It's not the same the manufacturing process of the engine of a Ferrari as approving your expenses, correct? For that reason, we usually see the IT departments of many organizations focused on those complex processes, using the traditional BPM approach, spending months or years to automate a handful of processes with K2, Appian, Pegasystems, and the likes. On the other hand, with our IT experts underwater, coding and coding to improve those complex processes, the rest of the business users manage to get some work automated using user-centric tools like Flow, Asana, Zapier, and the likes. With that, they manage to synchronize the email with OneDrive or integrate Salesforce with third-party tools, as an example. What we don't see in these cases is this big area in the middle, all of those processes that we run day by day in an organization, operational processes that go across the whole department or departments, processes that are not necessarily very complex but require more than just a Trello dashboard to automate them. And the result of all of that is that if you take all of those simple and sophisticated processes, individually they don't have a massive impact in the business, but altogether, in number, they are thousands, and they represent a huge impact in the business if we automate them all. So what is our approach? Why do we think Nintex is the right platform to solve that problem? Our approach is to focus in three main areas: process management, automation, and optimization. Let me tell you a couple of things of each of them. And I'm going to start with the second one, process automation, because it's where we started as a company and where we have had a massive success. Our Nintex workflows, forms, mobile apps automated thousands and thousands of processes in our customers, saving time and resources, but also making our IT departments happy, as they don't have to write code anymore. We've been providing automation tools from the very beginning, and at some point, we realized that with our current platform, we could provide you with metrics, KPIs, dashboards around these workflows and make you understand how you run your business, what processes work well, what others could be improved. That's what we do for process optimization, give you that visibility to not only automate processes, but also improve them along the way, analyzing the metrics, and what is more interesting, using all the emerging technologies such as machine learning, artificial intelligence, and the likes. And now, with the acquisition of ProMap, we can finally close this magic circle. All of these metrics are great to give the process owners visibility on what's going on in the business, but many times we see that it's not easy to find the owner of a process. We see that the process has been automated from the bottom to the top, and we've got the business side of process disconnected. With Nintex ProMap, now we can go in the other direction and start from the top. We can now identify processes, set priorities, align the company strategy, nominate process owners, and finally consolidate all of that and map out the process at a very high level. That's how we create a strategy for managing processes in the organization that right afterwards we will automate and ultimately optimize, comparing what we defined initially with the process owners to what we see in our process metrics. You might be wondering what type of processes we automate. Are they specific to a line of business? Is there any department in which we focus more? And the truth is that our technology is so easy to use that becomes part of the company, automating processes across all departments and regardless the systems of records we use in the organization. Here are some of the most common use cases that we see in our customers. Nintex is used in all departments, from simple and quick document approvals to more complex and long processes like invoice processing involving Salesforce and SAP. All of them are automated with Nintex. But what type of organizations are using Nintex? Well, there are more than 8,000 companies worldwide running thousands of workflows every day with Nintex. Big logos from a wide variety of sectors and verticals, as you can see. But let me tell you something. What is more interesting to see is that the customer with the most number of workflows has around 150,000 workflows, and the second one has around 80,000. And then we have a few more with around 20,000 workflows. That's impressive. And the reason for that is probably the way typically Nintex is implemented in these kind of customers. They usually start with a couple of processes in a department, and that rapidly starts to grow and more processes get automated in the department and replicated to other departments, ending up with workflows across all the organization. And the interesting thing is that we are not only talking about leave requests or expenses. With the help of our partners, organizations rely on the Nintex platform to automate more sophisticated processes, more specific to the industry or vertical that the organization belongs, as you can see in this slide. It's incredible to see how many of these companies use the experience they get with simple processes to take it to the next level of process automation. Okay, let's take a quick look at the technology itself. Let's quickly see which components of the Nintex platform we use to manage, automate, and optimize processes. Starting with the process management area, back in July, we acquired a company called ProMap. Nintex did a great investment to bring process management to the platform. Now, with the addition of Nintex ProMap, we can talk directly to the business users, to the real owners of the processes, and describe with them in their own terms what the processes should look like. As I mentioned before, in the past, we used to work side by side with our partners and the IT departments to map out the processes. But sometimes, even though we build technically correct solutions, sometimes we are just automating bad design processes. But now, with ProMap, we can have a conversation with business managers, define with them the processes, map them all with ProMap in a document, and get back to them with the same document saying, hey, is this what you were asking? Is this what we were talking about? And then we can adjust the process definition if necessary. But now we are sure that the workflows, forms, and all technical elements that we will create for that are following the same definition. Nintex ProMap allows us to do that, allows us to create that digital asset, update it, provide feedback to improve it, estimates costs and savings, which, by the way, cost and savings estimations that later on, with our Nintex Hook analytics solutions, we can compare. Now, let's move on. As I mentioned, with Nintex ProMap, we are going to be able to map out and create that high-level flowchart for our processes. But Nintex ProMap is going to help us as well to identify the process owners, the resources involved in every process. In other words, it will also help us to create a plan around the process management in our organization. Set up priorities, which processes should be automated before, which ones have more impact in the business. Basically, it can help us to align our process management with our company strategy and values. And once that is in place, we can start automating those processes. That's when we will translate the process map into a workflow design. We will create intelligent forms to make sure we collect all the relevant information to trigger our workflow, make these forms available in native mobile apps if necessary, and so on. We will also be able to dynamically generate documents as part of the workflow. Think of all of those scenarios in which we have to go through the approval of contracts, invoices, expenses. All of those documents can now be generated the moment of the process you need them and go through the different departments and systems of records involved in the process. And that's the beauty of Nintex. That with our extensions framework, we have the ability to integrate and talk to any system of records. Nintex comes with out-of-the-box connectors to the major players in the market. Microsoft, Salesforce, SAP, Adobe. But more importantly, this framework relies on the Open API standard for creating custom connections to any line of business API. And by the way, Extensions framework is not only about connectors, it's about integration in general. One of the reasons why Nintex has been so successful in the SharePoint market is because it was fully integrated into the SharePoint user experience. People were using the workflow designer thinking that it was part of SharePoint. And we are replicating that idea across other ecosystems. That's why you can find now Nintex Workflow for Salesforce, Nintex Workflow for Box, with the Nintex user interface embedded into those platforms. For the last part, for the optimization bit, we use Nintex Hawkeye, our process analytics solutions in the platform, a solution that allows us to get full visibility over our automated processes. How many workflows, where they are, where are the bottlenecks in the process. It also gives us specific metrics of the process itself. If we are automating the insurance claim process, it would be great to have a report every year, every month, telling you how many claims you manage, what's the average amount of things, and things like that. All of those metrics help you to optimize the process. All of that is super valuable information that you will use to come back to the step one, redefine the process with the process owner. To deliver all of that, we are proud to have an amazing partner network on which we rely to help you in all of this journey. Solutions partners, but also strategic and technology partners like Microsoft, Salesforce, or Adobe. These strategic alliances allows us to bring capabilities like e-signature, RPA, bots, and the likes. And lastly, don't forget our customer success and support services, committed 100% to go along with you in this journey. Alright, so at this point, you might be thinking that you already heard that story before. Low code, no code solution, drag and drop designer, integration with any system. So why do our customers choose us? Why do they prefer to be with us? In other words, what is it exactly that makes Nintex different from other software providers? And I'm going to give you 3 main reasons. First of all, Nintex is the fastest way to build apps. You might think that most of the examples we've seen can be done with some custom code, Flow, Power Apps, or any other software platforms. Yes, that's true. But with Nintex, you will do it much faster. There's no other platform that can help you to automate all of those use cases. We've got more than 12 years of experience creating these kind of apps, and we know what works and what doesn't work. The drag and drop designer, the logic actions, conditions, loops, state machines, connectors, all of these functionalities have been developed in the Nintex platform so that you don't have to write a single line of code, whatever the logic of the process is. And it's not me saying that. Based on research, we can be 10 times faster than custom code. Second reason, Nintex provides the lowest total cost of ownership. With that, what we mean is that yes, of course, we offer very competitive price. It's software as a service, consumption-based pricing. You pay for what you consume. And the reason it makes it very, very competitive is because we really know what you consume. You consume processes in the Nintex platform. That's exactly the value unit we add to an organization. It's not based on users, it's not based on number of servers or the number of times you run a workflow. That makes the pricing model work in all scenarios with no surprises, because we've got too many or too less users, or because we run a process too many times. The ability to easily create solutions aligned with a pricing model that allows you to grow and expand quickly is probably what makes also Nintex be one of the companies with the highest overall satisfaction. Customers with thousands of workflows have not created them overnight. That's because all of these companies have spent years growing with us. We keep our customers happy and also our partners. I've briefly mentioned Flow and Power Apps along this presentation, so you might be thinking that not all our partners are happy with us. Microsoft cannot be happy, right? And the reality is that this is not true. As a matter of fact, we have a long and extremely strong relationship with Microsoft, because even though it might be a little bit of overlapping with Flow and Power Apps, the reality is that we've been for years the best app in the Office 365 market, and Microsoft recognizes that. Proof of that are the awards that we've been collecting all of these years. So, to sum up, we are the global standard when it comes to process management and automation. That's something we've been demonstrating for years as a technology, as a platform, and as a company. We've been consistently growing and being profitable year after year since 2006, when we were founded in Australia. Now we have presence worldwide, more than 500 employees across offices all around the globe. And because we've been so successful at what we do, Thoma Bravo, one of the biggest investors of technology in the world, at the beginning of the year decided to put a great sum of money on us to take what we do to the next level of excellence, of process excellence. And that future, I hope, is including you. So let's start to talk about next steps together.